Dear students, let us continue our learning the course System Software and Compilers. This is the eighth session of the module 3. The topics covered under this session are from the chapter Syntax Analysis, the topic Top-Down Parsing. Under that one, we will learn LL of 1 grams. Myself, Dr. Suresh Adi from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of Kendra Engineering College, Bantwal, Mangalore. In the last class, we learned the construction of first and the follow set. So now let us continue that first and the follow set what we have constructed, and we will learn the building above the we learn building the LL of 1 grams. So these LL of 1 grammars, as we discussed earlier, so it is applied for the top down parsing. The LL of 1. So LL, these LL stands for, first L stands for we scan from left to right. So scanning will happen from left to right. Then the second L. So the first L stands for scan from left to right. And the second L stands for we will apply the right leftmost derivation. The second L stands for the first L stands for scanning from left to right, and the second L stands for the we will apply for the leftmost derivation. We learned different ways of deriving the things. One will be the leftmost, other is the rightmost derivation. So leftmost derivation is the case wherein for every leftmost non-terminal the productions are applied first. Then the plus 1, that is LL of 1. 1 stands for one symbol of look ahead. Look ahead means the how many symbols of look ahead means, let us take the example of E derives ID. Fine. So now if my input is ID, then we what we'll do is we will have, so whenever our input, we will look at this one symbol, the next symbol. Fine. So depending on the next symbol, we will make the decision. That is the one symbol of look ahead we will make. Fine. So look ahead means when we go for parsing, how many next symbols we are going to consider. Fine. So if the look ahead, if I take example as a 2 over there, means not this symbol, I will make the decision based on the next symbol. The next input symbol, depending on the next input symbol, I will make the decision that one. Right? So now here it's in class of LL of 1. 1 means one symbol of look ahead we used to have. So only the one symbol of look ahead we used to have. Right? I hope it is clear. The first L stands for scan from left to right. The second L stands for we will apply the leftmost derivation. And the 1 stands for we will apply the one symbol of look ahead. So one symbol of look ahead we will use for making the parsing decision. To make the decisions, we use one symbol of look ahead. Right? Then the next one will be the construction of the transition diagram for the predictive parser. So that is it is similar to that of your finite state missions what we consider. How it will be considered, how the transition diagrams are considered for the predictive parsers. Right? These top-down parsers we normally call it as the predictive parsers only. How it is constructed? Let me rewrite our grammar. The first production in that grammar, E derives. After eliminating the left recursion, we construct the grammar as a T E dash, and this E dash derives plus T E dash. So if I go for constructing the transition diagram for this one, first from the E, for every transition, one transition diagram will be constructed. Fine. So now what we'll do, we'll mark one start state. That is, I will start from the for the production E I am writing. So I will start from the start state, state 0. It is looking like a final state. So let me erase it. So I will start from the this state. This is for E I am writing. Then on T, I will go to the next state. Next on E dash, this is E dash. On E dash, I will go to the accepting state. So if I number it, it can be 0, 1 and the 2. So this is for the E. This diagram is for the E. So this is my start state. If I go with the E dash, also if I go for constructing the E dash, so it will be, first will be it is for E dash, the next one we are constructing with this one. Start state, then next on plus, I will go to the next state. Next again on T, I will go to the next state. Next on E dash, on E dash, I will go to the final state. So if I number it, it is 0, 1, 2, this can be 3, 4, 5 and the 6. Fine. So this is how we construct the transition diagram. Fine. So we will, for every, for the grammar should be free from the left recursion and the left factoring. So this we already told. Whenever we apply, go for the top-down parsing, the grammar it should be free from the ambiguity. It should be free from the left recursion, and it should be left factored over there. So now when such thing is constructed, so for every non-terminal, for each non-terminal, we can construct one tree. How it will be done? We create an initial and the final state. We create an initial and the final state. For each production A derives x1, x2, we will create a path from, for each production T E dash, we create a path from your start state to the final state. And if you have an epsilon production over here, so in this case plus T dash or the epsilon. So now in this case from start state to the accepting state, we add the production epsilon. We add the production epsilon. Right? This is how the transition diagrams are constructed. Right? So along with the constructing the transition diagrams, in many a times we may need to construct the equivalence over there. What is that equivalence? Fine. So now let us take the example here. It is E derives T dash. E derives T E dash. So the equivalence can be constructed using. So if I go for replacing this E dash with this one as well. So this is the transition diagram for the E dash. So if I go for constructing replacing the T dash. So first will be my start state. State 0 on T. I will go to the state number 1. So on state number 1, I have the E dash. So now I will go for replacing this E dash productions. What is that one? Plus T. So plus T means I should have the any number of it is E dash. E dash is my state. Fine. So here this is the same as that of this one. Fine. That is I need to have the repetition on the plus T. It can be of any number of times. It can be of any number of times. So I have the T over here. So we'll add up the transition plus over here. Plus T, fine. So that is, it will be repeated any number of times. It will be repeated any number of times. I am replacing for this E dash. Remember, so this E dash I am replacing here. So now in place of this E dash, plus T is any number of time, plus T E dash. Then it is epsilon. So on epsilon, for the, in place of now, I will put the epsilon here. So in place of E dash, it is the epsilon. I will go to my final state. The final state will be that. Fine. That is in place of these two, transition diagram, this is an equivalent transition diagram. Equivalent transition diagram. Fine. So this is how it will be constructed. Fine. So that is either we go with the single one or we can go with the equivalence class. Fine. So both are applied in case of the. This is how we construct the transition diagrams for the predictive parsers. Fine. So now let us go to the theoretical part of it. So the transition diagrams for predictive parsers differ from those of the lexical analyzers. Parsers have one diagram for each non-terminal. For E1 diagram, for E dash 1 diagram, T1 diagram, T dash 1 diagram. The labels of the edges can be tokens or the non-terminals. A transition on a token, that is a terminal, means we make that transition if the token is the next input symbol. If it is a non-terminal, then we will call the procedure for it. Then with the LL of 1 grammar, so the ambiguity of whether or not to take an epsilon edge can be resolved by making the epsilon transition as the default choice. Transition diagrams can be further simplified as we have done now, provided the sequence of grammar symbols along the path are preserved. So, but we need to preserve the overall meaning. We are not supposed to alter the overall meaning. So, preserving the overall meaning, we can simplify the transitions over there. This is what that be in place of these two transitions. We have constructed the simplified transitions. Then next will be the construction of the LL of one grammars. Fine. So once I will let me construct the table and I will come back and I will explain what are the different key features in the construction of the LL of one grammars. Okay. So first let me construct the table. So this one is the same transition diagram what we have written. This is for your E, it is T E dash. E dash is a plus T E dash or the epsilon. Now in place of this E dash, I will substitute as a plus T and here it is epsilon, this one. That is in place of these two. In place of these two diagram, it is an equivalence transition diagram. Equivalence transition diagram. Okay. So now let me go for constructing the table over here. So how this table is constructed, fine. So let me take it is the table for your production. So that is our arithmetic expression productions, fine. So first let me rewrite the grammar. It is very important. Let me rewrite the grammar. The grammar is E derives T E dash. You need to take the grammar which is freed from the left recursion and the left factoring. Only after that one we need to consider. Then E dash derives plus T E dash or the epsilon plus T E dash, or one more production is a E dash derives epsilon. E dash derives epsilon. Then T derives F T dash. Then T dash derives star F T dash, or T dash derives epsilon. Then F derives open E close, or F derives ID. So this is what our given grammar. So for this grammar we constructed the first and the follow set. For this grammar we constructed the first and the follow set. First let me go with the first set over here. So first, fine. First I will construct the first of E. What is first of E? First of E is having the T. First of T is having the F. First of F is having the open parenthesis and the ID. That is the first of E is now ID and the open parenthesis. ID and the open parenthesis. Then first of E dash. First of E dash. If you look over here, first of E dash is a plus, and if I consider this one, it is a epsilon. So that is first of E dash is a plus and the epsilon. Then first of T. First of T will be, where is T here? What is the first of T? First of T is a F. What is the first of F? Open parenthesis and the ID. So it is a open parenthesis and the ID. Then the first of T dash. What is the first of T dash? First of T dash is a star and the epsilon. So first of T dash is a star and the epsilon. Then the first of F. First of F is a open parenthesis and the ID. First of F will be open parenthesis and the ID. So this is the construction of the first set. Fine. So once we constructed the first set, then the next step is to construct the follow set. Once we constructed the first set, our next step is to construct the follow set over there. So let me construct the follow set. First follow of E, follow of E dash, follow of T, follow of T dash, follow of F, follow of E. To find the, since E is the start symbol, we will put the dollar by default. Then search the E on the right side. Where is the E on the right side? Here, 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 here. What is next to E? Close parenthesis. So that is follow of E is a close parenthesis. Follow of E dash. Search V dash on the right side. One is here. Once nothing is there, we'll take the follow of E. What is the follow of E? Dollar and the close. Search where is E dash again. Here again the follow of E dash only the same thing. Then nowhere else. So follow of E dash is a dollar and the close parenthesis. Follow of the T. Search T on the right side. Where is T on the right side? Here. What is the next here? Where is what is next to T? It is E dash. Take the first of E dash. First of E dash. First of E dash I have the plus. Then if I substitute the epsilon over here, this cancels. So whatever is the follow of E will be the follow of T. What is the follow of E? That is your dollar and the close parenthesis. Dollar and the close parenthesis. Then the follow of T dash. Search T dash on the right side. Where is T dash? Here. What is T dash here? What is next to the T dash? Nothing. Nothing means follow of T will be the follow of T dash. What is the follow of T? That is a plus dollar and the close parenthesis. Then the follow of F. Search F on the right side. Where is F on the right side? Here. What is next to F? I have the T dash. Take the if something next to it, we need to take the first of it. What is the first of T dash? It is a star and the epsilon. So if I substitute the epsilon, if I substitute the epsilon for this one, this cancels. Whatever in the follow of T will be the follow of F now. If nothing is there next to it, means we need to take the follow of its root. So follow of T. Follow of T is a plus dollar and the close parenthesis. So once we finished writing the first and the follow set, next we need to construct the table. Next we need to construct the table. Fine. So how that a table is constructed, let us look. Fine. So on this side we write all the non-terminals. The non-terminals are the E, E dash, T, T dash and the F. So all the non-terminals are written on one side. Right? Next, on the along the this one along the columns we write all the terminals. Along the columns we write all the terminals over here. The terminals are the first one is the ID. Here you look here how many terminals we got, that we are going to write ID. Then next one is the plus. Then the next one is a star. The next one is open parenthesis. Then next one is a close parenthesis. Then next one is the dollar what we have added here. Fine. So dollar will write. So don't write the epsilon. Don't write the epsilon. So dollar will be written. Right. Next, how it will be done? First, look at the first symbol over there. Fine. So let me complete this one. So let me draw the table. Let me draw this complete table. The line was earlier thick, so I am writing the thin lines over here. First, take the first of the E. What is the first of the E? First of the E is ID and the open parenthesis, which is the project which is that production which is yielding that one. Fine. So for the E, I have only one production. What is that one? T E dash. So now for the ID and the open parenthesis, where is our ID here? So you put that production. What is that production? E derives T E dash. Even for the open parenthesis, you put that production E derives T E dash. Fine. I hope it is clear. Fine. Then next one for the E dash. For the E dash, have the plus and the epsilon. So for the plus, you write that production, which is the production which is yielding that one plus T E dash. You write that production. E dash derives. So this is the one which is yielding us the plus as our start symbol. That is E dash derives a plus T E dash. Now I am getting this epsilon. So now this is the epsilon. So once we get epsilon, only then we need to look at the follow set. Once we get the epsilon, we should look at the follow set. What is the follow of E dash? What is the follow of E dash? Dollar and the closing. For these two, we will write this production. That is E dash derives epsilon. E dash derives epsilon. For the dollar also, E dash derives epsilon. I hope it is clear. Fine. So for the E dash, let us take example. So for the E dash, I have the two options over here. One is a plus T E dash, other one is epsilon. So because of the plus T E dash, I am getting the plus as the start symbol. I am getting the plus as the start symbol. And because of the epsilon, I am getting E dash derives epsilon, I am getting the epsilon over there. So for the first, I will look at the first, always you have to look at the first. If I have the terminal over here, so which production is yielding the terminal? E dash derives plus T E dash, that we will write. E dash derives, so plus T E dash we are going to write. Fine. Then next one, for the epsilon. Now for the epsilon we won't write. In place of that one, we will look at the follow set. What is the follow set over there? Dollar and the closing. For the dollar and the closing, we write this production, that is E dash derives epsilon. E dash derives epsilon, E dash derives epsilon. This is how we fill the table. Again, let us go with the T. T derives F T dash. What is the follow first of the T? Open and the ID. So for the open and the ID, we write that production T derives F T dash. T derives F T dash. And for the this one again open parenthesis, we write it as a T derives F T dash. T derives F T dash. Fine. Again for the T dash, what is the first of T dash? First is star, which is the production which is yielding the star. T dash derives star F T dash. So for the star, we write it as a T dash derives star F T dash. Once I get the epsilon, so go to the follow set. What is the follow set? For the plus, dollar and the closing. For the plus, we write that production. What is that one? T dash derives epsilon. T dash derives epsilon. Again for the closing, we will write it as a T dash derives epsilon. Again for the dollar, I will write it as a T dash derives epsilon. Again, finished. Now we will go to the F. So now for the F. F derives open and ID. Which is the production which is giving the open? F derives open E close. For the open, I will write the production as a F derives open E and the close. And for ID, it is a F derives ID. F derives ID. This is how we construct the predictive parsing table. This is how we construct the predictive parsing table. For the construction of predictive parsing table, what are the step we followed? First, we compute the first and the follow set of each non-terminal. We calculated the first and the follow set of the each non-terminal. Then for filling the table entries, so first I will look at the first set over there. So now in the first set, whatever the production which is yielding that first, so that we are going to write. Once if we have the epsilon in the first set, then we will look at the follow set. So now which is that whatever the follow set entries are there, for that one we write the production which is yielding the epsilon. Fine. And the grammar is said to be in LL of 1. The grammar, this is very important. If the grammar is said to be in LL of 1, only if there is no collision is there. If we have a single entry over here, if we have the single entry for all the table entries, then we say that the grammar is in LL of 1. If it is not the single entry, we will take the next example and I will show. If the entries are not single, if you have the multiple entries, then we say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. The grammar is not in the LL of 1. Then your obvious question is, what about the blank spaces? The blank spaces indicate the error. The blank spaces indicate the error. Whenever we have any error in the parsing, then for that case, the blank will be matched over. If it is a blank, means it is an error in the parsing. This is how we find the lexical errors. Sorry, this is how we find our syntax errors. This is how we find the syntax errors. That is, the blank entries in the table indicates that these are the error conditions. For these error conditions, we have to handle these error conditions. That we will see later. First, let us learn to write the table. So once we are familiar with writing the table, then the writing the error routine is important. Right? The blank indicates error. These are our error. This you have to remember. Error in the parsing. This will be your error in the parsing. And the grammar is said to be in LL of 1 if you have a single entry like this. In place of this one, if I get two entries over here, then the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Then the grammar is not in the LL of 1 we have to write. Fine. In exams, they will ask whether the grammar is in LL of 1 or not. For to check that one, first we need to construct the table. And if the table has multiple entries, then we say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. If it has a single entry, then we have to say that the grammar is in the LL of 1. Right? So now let us take the case where the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Where the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Fine. So it is the same table what we have constructed there. So it is the same table which is written over here. Fine. So now let us go with the next grammar. Then the next grammar is yes derives. Then the next grammar is yes. For this one, let us solve. So it is yes derives. I will write it here. So yes derives. It is I. That is your if statement. That is I E T yes and the yes dash or A. Right? Then yes dash derives. This is your if statement. Fine. Yes dash derives. E yes. E means for else. A yes or the epsilon. Then E derives B. E derives B. Okay. So first let us construct the first and the follow set over here. First and the follow set for this one. Fine. So first I will construct the first. Construct the first set. First of yes. First I'll start with the yes. First of yes. What is the first of yes? First of yes will be what is the here? Because of this one I will get the I. And because of this production I will get the A. Okay. And then the first of S dash. First of S dash is the one with, because of this one I will get the E. And because of this production I will get the epsilon. Then the first of E. First of E I will get it as a B. This is my first set. Then the next step is to construct the follow set. So once we have done with the first, we need to construct the follow set. So I will construct the follow set for all three. I will need to construct the follow for all the three. Follow of yes. So since yes is our start symbol, what to be added? Dollar is to be added. So I will put the dollar. Right. Then next, search yes on the right side. Where is yes? Here. What is next to yes? Yes dash. What is the first of yes dash? Is E. First of S dash is E. If I substitute the epsilon, this cancels. If I substitute the epsilon, this cancels. Again, the follow of S. Follow of S is the same thing. Right? That is, I will get the dollar and the E. Then the follow of S dash. Search S dash on the right side. Search S dash on the right side. What will I get? Search, if I search S dash on the right side here, whatever is the fall of S, that will be in the fall of S dash. That is your dollar and the E. Dollar and the E. Then the fall of E. Fall of E. So fall of E I should get. So fall of E, search for E on the right side. So where is E? Here. What is next to it? You have to take the first of it. What is the next to it? It is a T. So that is the fall of E is a T. Fall of E is a T. Right. Fine. I hope it is clear. Fine. So now we construct the first and the follow set. So now we have constructed the first and the follow set. Now let us go for writing the table. Let us go for writing the table. My drawing is not that much. The lines are not that much straight. Right. So the non-terminals are, first one is S, S dash, and the E. This is for S. This is for S dash, the E. What about the terminals? The terminals are, the first one is I. The next one is a T. I, T. These are non-terminals. Then the next one is A. Then the next one is E. Then the next one is B. Don't write epsilon for the columns. Fine. So then it is a dollar. Dollar for the star symbol what we have added. Fine. Don't write epsilon for your columns. Fine. Then this done. First, we'll look at the first of S. What is the first of S? So S derives I and the A. So which is the production which is giving I? That is S derives. This is S derives. What is that production? I will write in the next line. That is I, E, T, S, and the S dash. This is the production which is giving the I over there. Then A, which is the production which is giving the A? S derives A. S derives A. So no epsilon over here. So we will finish for the S. Then look at the S dash. For the S dash, take the first of S dash. What is the first of S dash? S dash derives E. Which is that production? S dash derives ES. For the E, I will write it as a S dash derives ES. ES I am going to write. Fine. S dash derives ES I have written. Then epsilon. Once I get the epsilon, go to the follow set. What is the follow set over there? Dollar. Sorry, S dash will be equal to dollar and the epsilon. Which is that production? S dash derives epsilon. So for the dollar it is S dash derives epsilon. One case. What is the other one? It is E. Where is E? Here. Here it is S dash derives epsilon. S dash derives epsilon. So we done with the S dash. Then for the E, what is the first of E? It is B. So for the B, you write that production. E derives B. E derives B. So now we filled the table. Now we filled the table. Now we have to say whether the grammar is in LL of 1 or not. Fine. First, check here. So here it is only one production. Okay. Here also one production. Okay. Here I have the two productions. S dash and E, I have the two productions. Fine. So once I have the two productions over there, more than one, in any case, not two, limited. If I have more than one production over there, then it is a clear indication that the grammar is not in LL of 1. So this grammar, whatever the grammar we have stated here, this grammar is not in LL of 1. So it is a confusion where which one should I take for the E, whether I should take the first case, that is S dash derives ES, or I should take the second case, that is S dash derives epsilon. I don't know. Right? That is, it creates an ambiguity in the parser. That's why the grammar is not in the LL of 1. The grammar is not in the LL of 1. This is how we construct the table. Right? So using this predictive parsing table, we can say that whether the grammar is in the LL of 1 or not. If there is a single entry for each row versus column entries, then the grammar is said to be in the LL of 1. If I got multiple entries, if I get the multiple entries, then I say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. The grammar is not in the LL of 1. as in this case. So now in this case, S dash derives ES and the S dash derives epsilon. I have the two entries for the S dash on E. For these two entries, there is a confusion for the parser. Which one should it should take for the S dash on E? So whether it should take the first one, that is S dash derives ES, or it should take the S dash derives epsilon. So this leads to ambiguity. When such cases happen, so we say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Then we say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. The above one, in the above one as we took, so the grammar was in the LL of 1. In the above one as we took, the grammar was in the LL of 1, wherein no such cases were there. For each entry we have a single one. For each row versus the column entry, we have the single entries in the table. So we say that the grammar is in the LL of 1. The grammar is in the LL of 1. This grammar is in the LL of 1. This is LL of 1. This is in the LL of 1. But the below one, if you take, the below one is not in the LL of 1. Is not in the LL of 1. Fine. So this is how we make the decision. I hope it is clear. Fine. So now let us go to the theoretical part of it. Let us go to the theoretical part of it. So here we have ended. Here we have ended. Fine. So construction of the predictive parsing table. Construction of the predictive parsing table. So the construction of the predictive parsing table is quite simple. First, input the grammar. Output is a predictive parsing table. For each production A derives alpha. So what we will do? We will find the first and the follow set. We find the first and the follow set. For each terminal A in the first of A, then we add that one. For each epsilon in the first of alpha, for each production terminal B in the follow set, then we add that production M on A comma B will be our epsilon. Fine. This is what we have done. Fine. So first we go with the first table. So if first as epsilon, then we take on the epsilon. Then we take on the follow set. So from whatever the entries in the follow set, for those entries, we added the production, that is the A derives your epsilon, whatever the production which is yielding that epsilon, that we have added. Fine. So after that one we construct it. This is the table what we have applied. Fine. Then one more algorithm is there. That is a grammar is in the LL of 1. The grammar is in a LL of 1. So if whenever we have the productions A derives alpha or beta, or two distinct productions. Or two distinct productions. So distinct means they are not yielding us the same. They are not yielding us the same. So we have seen the example. What is that example? S dash on E. We are getting the two options over there. What is that one? S dash derives ES. Other one was S dash derives epsilon. So then we told that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Then we told that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. So how it happens? Let us check. For no terminal means what? The no matching happens. Do both alpha and beta derive the things beginning with the A? If I have a A, then either that alpha should derive. Fine. So now the production is A derives alpha or the beta. A derives alpha or the beta. If A is beginning with alpha, then it should not happen in the beta. If it is in the beta, then it should not be in the alpha. Then it should not be in the alpha. Fine. Remember that. Fine. That is no terminal A do both alpha and derive the things. If they derive, then the collision happens and we say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. If both derive the same thing, then we say that it is happening because the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Fine. First case. Second case, at most one alpha or the beta should derive your empty string. Empty string is your epsilon. If alpha derives epsilon, means beta should not derive the epsilon. If beta derives epsilon, then alpha should not derive the epsilon. Fine. That is the case. Then the third one, if beta derives epsilon in one or more step, then alpha does not derive any string beginning with a terminal in the fall of A. If we get that one in the fall of A, means what? Again it's a collision over. This is what happened. So this S dash is deriving me epsilon. So now that S dash in the fall of S dash have the E, have the fall of E, because of which I am able to get that collision over there. Because of which I am able to get that collision. If these conditions were satisfied, then only the grammar is said to be in the LL of 1, or else the grammar is said to be in the not in the LL of 1. Not in the LL of 1. Fine. So now this is how we construct the predictive parsing table. This is for the first one, and for this grammar it is given in the next page. This is the predictive parsing. Here is the collision. Here is the collision, what we have shown. So once the collision happens, then we say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Once that collision will happen, then we say that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. Fine. That is, the E was in the, with the S dash, I am able to get the epsilon. Along with that one, the E was there in the follow set of S dash. The E was there in the follow set of S dash. So now what happens? It will lead to the case that the grammar is not in the LL of 1. The grammar is not in the LL of 1. Fine. So the non-recursive predictive parsing we will take up in the next class. In the next session, we will continue with the same top-down parsing, and we will go for the algorithm for the non-recursive predictive parsing. So the non-recursive predictive parsing uses this parsing table, predictive parsing table, remember. Fine. So in the predictive parsing table we have constructed, this is applied for the non-recursive predictive parsing. It's a continuation. It is a continuation. Non-recursive stands for, in the recursive descent parsing, we used the recursion over there. And here, without that recursion, we use this table. In the recursive descent parsing, we use the recursion to go for the parsing. In the non-recursive predictive parsing, in place of that recursion, we use this parsing table, predictive parsing table, to make the predictive parsing. Fine. So in this session, we started with the top-down parsing. We done the construction of the predictive parsing table, and we have taken the example of both the grammars wherein we have the grammar in the LL of 1 and the grammar which is not in the LL of 1. The references for this presentation are taken from the textbook. Alfred V. Ho, Monica Islam, Ravi Sethi, Jeffrey D. Ullman are the authors. The textbook is Compilers, Principles, Techniques and the Tools. It is an Pearson publication, second edition, 2007. Thank you.